right. Well, it's 7:05, so let's keep going. I don't want to waste y'all's time. I know it's valuable. To everybody out watching, this is Community Frontline's forum on updates at Cavile Place. We had a forum back in November, and our gracious panelists have agreed to come back and kind of give us some updates on what's going on over there. If you've driven by anytime recently, you've seen that there's really not anything there. So we'll hear all those updates. Myself and RJ here from Community Frontline. We also have with us today Sonya, Barnette, and Lachelle Goodrich from Fort Worth Housing Solutions, Simeon Henderson from Urban Strategies, Inc., and last but never least, Jonathan Morrison of B Leverage LLC. So yeah, let's just jump right in. And I was just kind of curious, either Lachelle or Sonya, either one of you, just if you could provide maybe an overview and an update on the status of sort of the various Caval happenings, I guess, demo, resident relocations, choice neighborhood initiative, kind of just maybe assume that the people watching don't really know much about that. Maybe just give us a quick Caval 101 update.
Okay. I'm going to let Sonya jump in since I was here to do that introduction back in November, but you get to hear from someone that has been doing this for years and committed to the community here in Fort Worth. And so she has 20 plus. I'm gonna let her tell her own story here at the Fort Worth Housing Solutions, but I've had the privilege and the honor to serve on her team for probably about 12 to 13 years collectively. And so go ahead, Sonya, and I'll jump in wherever you need me to.
Okay, well, thank you, Lachelle, and for all the members of Community Frontline. Thank you for inviting us back. We appreciate it. You know, we believe in keeping the community updated on what's going on at Caval with our Choice Neighborhood Grant and the residents that, you know, we call them our formal Caval residents, but they're always going to be Caval residents to us. So we'll exclude the formal for now. But for those that are out there currently listening, of course, everybody knows that the Fort Worth Housing Solutions received a Choice Neighborhood Grant back in April of 18, 19? No, I mean 1920. I forget the year, right? Because it's all running together. But that's a $35 million grant that would be used to assist in revitalizing the Stop 6 neighborhood. Prior to us receiving the grant, we had applied for what was called the Section 18 application. That gave us permission from HUD, who funds us, to go ahead and demolish the Caval community because the capital repairs on that particular property and all of our public housing properties were so significant, the funding just wasn't available any longer. So we decided that we would go ahead and try and move forward with the transformation plan that was established back in 2013 for the Stop 6 neighborhood. And so HUD approved for the demolition of that particular property. We were awarded what's called tenant protection vouchers, and we began the relocation process of our residents, I believe, back in April of 2019. And we continued the relocation process through 2020 upon the Choice Neighborhood Award, again, which is a $35 million grant from HUD. The housing authorities selected a lead for our housing piece, our people piece, and our neighborhood piece. Of course, everybody knows that the city of Fort Worth was a co-applicant for that particular grant. So the neighborhood services is being facilitated by the city of Fort Worth. The people side of it is facilitated by Urban Strategies, Inc., Simeon Henderson. And of course, the housing side is facilitated by McCormick, Barron, Salazar. So like you said, Derek, if you've driven down Rosedale recently, you see nothing but 22 acres of dirt. We have completed the actual demolition of that property, the abatement, the demolition, the clearing of the land. Currently now they're over there and they're grading the property and they're seeding the property, which is part of the demolition process. And so probably in about 14 days, you'll see grass over there, which means absolutely nothing to anybody on this call, but it does mean something for us because that means we're nearing the end of the demolition process. And so as a result of the grant and the demolition of Caval, the commitment to go ahead and provide some additional affordable housing in the Stop 6 community. We'll begin with Carolyn Place, which is the first of 6 phases of multifamily housing. Carolyn Place is going to be a senior development, 174 units. That's going to be located on the corner of Rosedale and Stockup. And please, if I'm talking too fast, slow me down because I do talk fast. That particular property, actually, we're looking to begin really break ground on that property in July of this year. And we anticipate construction being completed sometime the latter part of 2022. Again, that's 174 units. It's a senior development. It's going to have about 16,000 square feet of community space. That will include a community room, different types of activity rooms for the residents that live there. The really cool part about that particular property, not just that it's for seniors in the location, but in the design, and I'm sure that everybody has seen the design at this point. It has, we call it, kind of the beacon to the neighborhood, and it's really like a light tower that can change colors throughout the different seasons. And it's really cool. So to see those renderings and those designs and actually see it animated is really cool. So we're really looking forward to that. Our second phase, which will be Hughes House, will be located not too far from there on the corner of Amanda and Rosedale. We anticipate construction starting on that particular property, and that's actually going to be a family development. It'll be a multi-family, multi-use development. We'll have some commercial and retail space in that particular property. I think it's about 210 units. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lachelle. 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom unit mix. We'll have all the latest amenities, again, some retail, commercial space. We expect construction to begin on that particular property mid-2022 and completion the latter part of 2023. Fortunately for us, we have USI who handles the people piece of it, but the Housing Authority is still very, very active in the lives of our Caval residents. I think Lachelle can tell you that she probably gets calls every single day. Even though USI is actively involved with our Caval residents, they still have a fondness for us and we still have a fondness for them. And so we maintain close contact with them on a regular basis. For those of you who don't know, the Housing Authority and USI currently have a workforce solutions person, a workforce coordinator who works very closely with our residents on employment. Simeon will get more into that on the different services that are being offered to the residents. But in the process of relocation, they weren't concentrated in any one area. Of course, they received vouchers, so they had a choice where they wanted to go, and most of them chose to relocate to areas of higher opportunity. And so they're spread throughout the city of Fort Worth. We do have small clusters here and there, but they're spread throughout the city of Fort Worth. And so we've made a commitment to go to where they're at, work with them where they're at, i.e. USI, and Lachelle and her team, constantly maintaining contact. And so we're doing some really unique, creative things to continue to engage our residents, because Caval no longer exists, that those buildings are gone, the people are gone, but we do have a strong commitment to making sure that we continue engaging our residents, keeping them involved in the process, making them aware of what's going on. We do that through community forums. We do that via text messages, notices to the residents, and phone calls to the residents. So we're excited about the future of the Stop 6 neighborhood. We're excited about the redevelopment process. We're excited about the economic development that will be generated in the Stop 6 neighborhood. But more importantly, we look forward to our residents coming back and being able to reside in these incredibly beautiful developments that are getting ready to be constructed. So that's kind of where we are with the Caval process. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than welcome to answer them for you.
Sure. Thank you, Sonya, for that. That was very thorough and helpful. A couple of just follow-up questions. One is, the phase 2 Hughes House, what type of housing will that be as far as like public housing or affordable housing or commercial market rate housing? What's going to be the breakdown there?
So it's going to be a mixed income development. And so that basically means that it'll be a mixture of all different types of funding. So it will be tax credit, it will be project-based vouchers. It will, I believe, contain some market rate units in that property, if I'm not mistaken, Lachelle.
Right now, yes,
will be
44 market rate, yeah.
And so we call that mixed income properties. And so all of the developments from phase 1 to phase 6 will be mixed income developments. Public housing, as we know it, for most of you, is going away. And so most housing authorities, actually all housing authorities, at some point are going to have to reposition their public housing. And basically repositioning of public housing means that they're going to transfer that subsidies is going away from the public housing side. And it's going to be more of a Section 8 platform, whether that's project-based vouchers, whether that's tenant-based vouchers, whether that's RAD, which is tied specifically to the property and the development. So it's going to be a mixture of everything, but public housing as we know it is going away. And that's nationwide. That's just not exclusive to the city of Fort Worth. But to simply answer your question, yes, it will be a mixed income development.
Well, and that makes sense. I know I was just reading a book called The Color of Law, and it kind of explained the history of housing projects and how a lot of them were actually built to meet the demand of the shortage of housing after the war effort and the Great Depression. So it would make sense that there's going to be a change in terms of how housing is subsidized. A question that I also had was, do we know yet what will be the plan for the actual Caval site? Since I know that the Amanda Hughes House would be very close to the site, but as far as the actual areas that have been demoed, do we know what's going to go there just yet?
Yes. So all of that footprint area will contain all housing. So in the process, so there'll be 6 phases. And those 6 phases of housing, I think all for the exception of one, Lachelle, will go in and around Caval proper, on Caval proper, and in around the Caval proper, which is the Caval site that we now know as the dirt of 22 acres.
As well as the hub,
yes, in the hub.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I want to add, I know a lot of times, so in layman's term, if I'm just talking to my community members, a lot of times, we say, what happens to, because people can't pay or afford market rate rent, right? And so just say, for instance, if you had a family member that lived at Caval and the minimum rent, right, was $50. And so when we use the word project-based voucher, those are going to be those units that will be considered what we, like Sonya mentioned, known previously as public housing. And public housing regarding the income format is 30% of your income, right? And if you have no income, blah, blah, then minimum rent is set at $50. So for those families that may not, have money and their rent is $50, then that project base, those are like those units that are allotted for the families that we have relocated if they're, in regards to the coming back or returning, or even if individuals that are on that waiting list there and they can't afford the project base.
And Derek, I just want to clarify. So when we talk about the different phases, when I say on Caval proper or in or around the area of Caval proper, so remember 2 of those developments will actually be not on Caval, but in the footprint, the 2-mile footprint of Caval, which is part of the CNI. So 2 of the developments will not actually be adjacent to or on Caval proper. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's helpful. So Carolyn Place at the Rosedale intersection would obviously not be on site, and then Hughes House at Amanda Rosedale, and then you're saying that's separate from the footprint I think we
No,
follow, but that's
that's
a good
part of the
clarification.
footprint. So the Miller location, and I think the Ramey location is the two that I'm speaking of. That's not immediately.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So there will be housing in the hub on that property that we have torn down.
Yeah.
So the hub will be on that property, and then phases, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. So the two you're referencing are the Miller and Ramey spots, not the
Cowan.
not Cowan and Hughes. Those are considered kind of on site.
They're considered in the footprint of that 2-mile radius.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That's helpful. Thank you. RJ?
Yeah. So Sonya had mentioned Simeon got an important job with USI, and I hoped you would go in detail of what all your role is with this transition, but also in stating what the goals are of your organization and how you guys have kept to those goals, stayed on track, and what's the progression like with this project?
Absolutely, great question. So Urban Strategies, we're a national nonprofit organization that's really our vision is human capital development and community revitalization. So we support choice neighborhood initiatives in several cities across the country. So we're excited that we've been invited to collaborate on this initiative. Our role specifically here is to make sure that our former Caval residents, which initially was 236 households, that they all are still connected through this process as the neighborhood is being revitalized. So making sure that we are supporting them in really 3 primary areas. The first area is health and wellness. So our goal is to make sure that we're increasing access to quality healthcare and mental healthcare services for our families. And then also making sure that we improve the health outcomes through prevention and health and wellness programs. So that's one of our focuses, health and wellness. We also have a focus of economic mobility. So our goal is that all of our households are economically stable and self-sufficient. And essentially what we're doing through that process is our goal ultimately is to increase the opportunities for job training and growth sectors. So connecting residents with organizations such as TCC or Workforce Solutions or Pathfinders, where they have job training opportunities that will allow our families to take advantage of those new opportunities in growth sectors. But then also supporting them in their educational goals. So we have residents that some have master's degrees and some are still continuing on their journey of education. So making sure that we connect them, whatever their career or educational pathways are, that we're making sure that they have those resources to achieve those goals. But then also supporting them with education around generational wealth and entrepreneurism. So there's a lot of partners that we collaborate with that have entrepreneur programs that they're already connected to. We have one resident who already started a small cleaning company, really excited for her and her journey. And we also have a resident currently going through that similar process of starting a notary business. So we have individuals that are inspired to be entrepreneurs, but then many that are looking to enter the workforce. So we're supporting them in that process as well. And then another area is education. So we're supporting our early learners, so 0 to 5-year-olds, making sure they have access to quality education related to early kindergarten as well as early Head Start, but then also having the opportunity to be screened for developmental delays if need be. But then we also have a focus on school age students as well, which is that 6 to 18-year-olds that are active in school, and making sure that each one of our young scholars have the opportunity to matriculate through that grade that they're currently in, and ultimately graduating from high school on time and having support. And speaking of graduation, we have 6 seniors currently who are all on track for graduating this upcoming June. We know 3 are on their way to college, and we have 3 that's looking to enter the workforce. So we're supporting our families and just a holistic approach. And we don't do this work alone. So we partner with subject matter experts throughout Tarrant County in each of these respective areas. They provide resources and pro bono services to our families because they're really committed to their overall health and wellness and their education and just making sure that they're thriving.
Okay. So now, out of all of the families that transitioned from Caval, how has the conversion rate been of connecting or staying connected to those families?
So part of our process is we have a case management team. So we have 4 case managers and 1 education specialist, and I serve as the senior project manager. So I'm supporting each of our teammates. So out of we have 224 active families that's enrolled in our case management process. And each of those families, or 97% of those families, have what we call a family development plan or individual development plan. So at part of our intake and assessment process, when we initially meet our residents, we take them through a series of questions. We learn more about them, their families, their goals, their aspirations, and we develop plans for them through that process. And we have 70 residents who've already have positive outcomes when it comes to their development plans. So that's about 30% of the families that have already completed 1 or 2 steps in that process. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, this is a long-term plan that we're supporting our residents. So this is over the next several years or 6 years. We're going to just be in the trenches with them, supporting them in all of these areas. And, full transparency, initially, engagement has been a challenge. I mean, when we look at being in a virtual environment, our team, local team joined this initiative in July, and all of the residents at that time have already been relocated throughout Tarrant County. So we, on the front end, had some initial challenges with connecting, and many of our partners can relate to just the challenges of being virtual and this new experience for everyone and all of the challenges that come along with that. So we feel really good. We've had several initiatives and events this year. Starting in January, we partnered with Fort Worth Housing Solutions and Workforce Solutions, where we had a soft skills fair with our residents that was open to the community. We also had a follow-up with that in February, where we had a job fair. In March, we had a health and wellness initiative, collaborated with the YMCA. So we just had lots of opportunities to connect with our residents in a non-traditional way. And we're looking forward, as we go into the second and third quarter, to continue those efforts.
And I guess my final question before we move on, even though we're in the initial phases, of course, has there been an expressed desire to want to return to the new development once it's completed?
So our goal is for all of our residents to return. They have the first right to, return, and that's our goal. So I haven't heard any resident that said they do not want to return. And I believe that as they see this beautiful development come online and they're continuing to hear these opportunities about updates, they will return. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't have any data to say it otherwise at this point, but I'm confident that a large percentage of them will.
Okay, good deal. Thank you for your word.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, and one of the questions that we've got here kind of fits into the flow of our discussion, which was just on the subject of relocation. We mentioned, I think it was Sonya mentioned earlier, that residents have been relocated throughout the city, but that there were some clusters. So the question from the comments was, do we know where the residents are at currently? So maybe if you could identify some of those clusters. I know you can't identify everywhere, but just maybe are there some general areas where residents are living now?
We have,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, go on.
We have Everman. A lot of our families relocated to the Everman area. Initially, we had a lot of families move to 76112, that Bellevue, that particular area. And unfortunately, due to the storm that we've had, we had a lot of families that had to relocate. And so other than the Everman area, and formerly over there off of in that particular area, the 76112, it's really kind of spread throughout. We have individuals that went to North Fort Worth, that went to, the South Side, Southwest Side is, we do have a cluster of individuals that went to the Southwest Side and a lot of those families, they have houses. And I know the question always come up, will families want to come back? To really be honest, I think it just all depends. If they are in a house, do they really want to come back to an apartment? Some do, some don't. I think that it kind of changes over time. If they stay in an apartment, Stop Six will always be there. I like to say their forever home for a lot of individuals. So I just think when the opportunity presents itself, then I think we'll have a clearer perspective on whether families want to come back. I can say for Carolyn Place, our elderly, our site for our elderly residents, we hear a lot of families like, when are they going to be up? We have a lot of our elderly folks. I probably get calls at least, once or twice a month saying, when is Calvin coming? When is Calvin coming? I'm ready to come back home. I'm ready to come back home. I get a lot of those calls from my elderly families. Sometimes from our other, our younger families, but our elderly residents, they are most definitely ready to come back, and we're ready for them to come back. So clusters, you have Everman, you have the Southwest Crowley area, again, that 76112 area, but we've kind of, because due to the snowstorm, individuals kind of had to relocate again, but definitely like I said, Everman and Southwest.
No, thank you. And if the Bellevue residents had success finding a place, and I know that was kind of just a bad deal. They found the spots and stuff.
Yes, Simeon and his team, they worked diligently to get our former Caval families relocated. Then my team and we worked diligently with numerous, community agencies, United Way, the city of Fort Worth. We were able to relocate, the families that belong to Fort Worth Housing Solutions, and anybody else that kind of reached out. I can only speak from on our end.
Sure.
We got a report today. There are still 3 individuals that stay there, and one of them belongs to the Housing Solutions, so we're having to navigate that. But other than that, everybody else is gone, relocated.
That was a huge undertaking to get all of those families moved. And of course, that wasn't our property. We did have some Caval residents there, but Lachelle is not giving herself enough credit. And I don't think Simeon even spoke on it, but that was a huge undertaking and a collaborative partnership with not just the Housing Authority, but USI, with United Way, as Lachelle said, and other agencies. The city of Fort Worth played a huge part in going out there. A lot of the local churches from the Stop Six neighborhood also went out there, provided food, water, to ensure that those families were taken care of. They had what they needed. And I publicly want to thank Lachelle for all of the hard work that she put into that and still is putting into that. She really took that on as a special project. We knew that our Caval residents were going to be taken care of. USI had them, but we had so many other families there that just needed some assistance and guidance and weren't quite sure what to do and how to do it. And Lachelle Goodrich stepped up and really facilitated the move for the rest of those folk that were there. And they weren't all just housing participants. Those were market rate units, individuals that, were lived in market rate units that really needed the assistance. So kudos to Lachelle.
And definitely shout out to Lachelle. And I was just going to add, I think that it definitely took a lot of effort from all partners to make it happen. And even we had volunteers from Community Frontline, come out and volunteer in different ways. So just really thankful. And our residents, we had a chance to engage with almost all of those through that process. And they were really, really thankful for just everyone across the board stepping up. So thanks everyone on call for your leadership, because I saw everyone through the process at some point.
Thank you. And Another question in the comments is something that was alluded to earlier, and we've talked about it. So maybe it's the whole concept of the right to return of the residents. Sonya or Lachelle, for that matter, could you just kind of explain for people watching what that means, that the residents get to come back, and what does that mean? What does that entail? What do they need to do if they so choose?
So the right to return, I think we get caught up on words. Every former Caval resident, every Caval resident that was on property at the time we began the relocation process, the housing authorities made a commitment that when these units start coming online, the redevelopment, all the housing phases as they come back online, we will reach out to every resident and ask them, do you want to return? We have X amount of units at this property. Are you interested? Those will be the first individuals that we contact, and they have the right to say, yes, I'd like to come back to this property. I'd like to live there. No, I'm not really interested in this property, but I'm interested in Hugh's house, right? Wait until that's done and call me, that type of stuff. So they will be contacted by the housing authority. Will work in collaboration with USI and give them the option of returning back to any one of those developments that fit their family needs, whether it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and they will have the option of returning.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Just for the sake of time, maybe head into some Section 3 issues. Do you have some questions, RJ?
Yeah. So the construction, deconstruction is a massive undertaking. AJ wanted to include you in the conversation because your organization is partnered to kind of aid in that process. I remember from our earlier call in November that there was a goal of wanting to include Black businesses and contractors on it. And maybe you can give some insight on how the progress has gone with that inclusion. You got you on mute.
You're on mute, AJ.
Mute always gets you. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me. And yeah, so of course, like Miss Sonya and Lachelle said, Caval is fully down to the ground. And the goals were there's a 25% MWBE participation goal for the dollar amount of construction. And then there's a 30% Section 3 goal for new hires. And I don't have the numbers right in front of me for Cavile Place. And of course, Calvin hasn't started yet to have those numbers. But it was we did do a fairly a lot of work undertaking trying to reach out into the MWBE community to make sure that as many businesses knew about the opportunity. And I think, it's just outside of our control, the circumstances that we are in that community at DFW. But I think with those circumstances, we did a great job, and the community will be pleased with the numbers when they come out. For Carolyn Place, I'm hoping that we actually exceed the numbers.
Okay.
They're just into the process where they haven't released the short list of the contractors who will be accepted to work on Carolyn Place yet.
And is that something that's going to be made public in the future?
Yes, when they're announced, I believe they're public. I think they're going to make an announcement tomorrow, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. And where can I find that list so we can keep up with that?
I'm sure it'll be available on the Stop 6CNI website.
Sure.
Any information about Carolyn Place, that's your primary location to go look for information that's been published about opportunities or about upcoming opportunities.
I will also say for our next community event update will be June 30th. And so we'll have more information that we can be able to share out. Right now, we don't have that information.
And that'll be a Zoom type platform?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. Super.
But I would say thank Community Frontline, and if you guys, that may be something that you guys want to look into, is just continuing to add effort into that MWB outreach and the capacity building that's needed in the community to make small businesses aware of opportunities, and then assisting them being prepared to bid for opportunities. That was one of the things that we saw during the process, just that, some of the that we need to, as a community, we have to do a better job of just making sure that our businesses are prepared to bid with the capacity building that's needed. So that's something that we're undertaking and working on to coordinate to fill that gap.
Okay. So our
I'm sorry, RJ, and I just wanted to just kind of piggyback off of that. It's critical. I think this is an opportunity that people don't want to miss out on. So I think that capacity is critical for our minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses. I think that's critical. The Section 3 businesses. I know DLB has done a great job with boots on the ground and getting people. I know we exceeded in our Section 3 goals, but to give you an idea on the scope of how the interest is, I think we had 280 people submit bids for doing work at Cowan.
Yes.
And it's critical that if our businesses, local businesses, don't have capacity, we work with them now. This is one of 6 phases. There's going to be 6 phases of housing that are going to go over into this 2-mile radius. And we want to make sure, and DLB, I'm sure, and AJ are going to be on the ground, helping, but they need help, right? I mean, I think this is a collaborative effort. We're all making a commitment. We're all committed to ensuring that, whatever we can do, we do to make sure that the capacity is there and that people are aware, they're educated, they know the processes, and they know where to go. They know when the RFPs come out. They know everything that's involved in the RFP or RFQ, whatever is the solicitation may be. And I think that's very critical to this process. And so I think collectively we will all make an effort to make sure that we provide access and opportunity.
And
it
also,
has to be. It has to be.
I think it's important that if there's any businesses out there listening right now, that they take this opportunity to go ahead and get Section 3 self-certified, because there will be some updates being made to the law. I believe they said it starts July 1st. So you have, a few days to go ahead and get self-certified under the old law. And I wrote down just a few things that people might not know, that if they're looking like, what would I need to gather so that I could be self-certified, because it's a fairly easy process. You can just go online. And I actually shared 2 links to that, RJ, that if you guys could share those 2 links on the Community Frontline page, it would make it easier for people to get there. But basically, you just need your ordinary information about your business. You need your NACE codes. And what those are codes that identify the specific type of work that your business does. You need your DUNS number, if you have one. Your EIN, which is your employment identification number, a business capabilities narrative. So that's simply a statement about the capabilities of the business services that you provide. And then any business designations that you have, like specifically my business is a minority-owned business, and I also am a White House minority, my brother's keeper mentor business. So there are several different type of business designations that you might want to look up or get before you self-certify, but it's easy to add them. And then of course the provided services, mainly of them are dealing with construction, because the housing authority specifically in HUD deal with construction, but there are other industries that they look for businesses that provide, including accounting, consulting, IT, security, and then they also have others. So I'm sure that there are businesses that, one-offs that they are looking for business. Sometimes they need a service and they don't have anyone registered to provide that service. And then they want to know if you're currently hiring. So that's one of the biggest things that they ask, if that Section 3 business is currently hired. And then there are a couple ways that you can get self-certified as a Section 3 business. one, you have to be 51% owned or more by a Section 3 resident. 30% or more of your full-time employees have to be Section 3 residents, or you have to make a firm commitment to offer 25% or more of your contracts to a business that meets the A or B qualification. So I just wanted everyone out there to know what it takes to be Section 3 certified. It's not a very extensive process, but you just need to have that business information available. And we are here at DLB Consultants are here to help you walk through that process if you need our assistance.
Okay. And so beyond the project, what are the other benefits of being certified?
So Section 3 is basically a provision of the HUD Act of 1968. So beyond just Fort Worth Housing Solutions, there are other housing authorities throughout the nation that's being Section 3 dollars, as well as other entities like the city of Fort Worth that get money from HUD that have to adhere to the Section 3 reporting requirements.
Okay.
And so you basically get preference in contracting opportunities if you are Section 3 self-certified, which means that you will meet the requirement to hire a certain amount of people from low-income areas.
Okay. And for those that weren't able to take notes, it's all on the Stop website, AJ?
Yes. And then
Okay.
also that the best way to get in more information on Section 3 is the link that I put in the chat. If you can post that link on the Community Frontline page, I think people will be able to look at it.
And you may have touched on this, Jay, but what types of certifications do the MBE firms have to have?
So MWBE certification, there are basically two organizations that do it in our area, Tarrant County, specifically. The one that is the easiest to do is the North Central Texas Regional Certification Agency. It's $100 fee for them to apply for certification. But basically, it's just certifying that you are a minority-owned business, because there's a lot of funny business going on out here in the market. People have a lot of ways to get it around, showing that they're a minority-owned business. So this is just verifying who you are and what type of service that you do. And so they basically just want your background information, like similar to things that like applying for a loan, just your actual business information that you provide and they validate it. But for some businesses, it can be extensive because they may not have all the documents consistently prepared. And so that's usually what we run into, is trying to, as I was saying earlier, build that capacity, whether it's through other community partners that can assist small businesses in preparing those documents to make applying easier. Excuse me.
Okay. Any currently up for bid, right?
So no, so they are, as they said, we're waiting on Hughes House to go out for bid. And so that will be the next phase, I believe, that's going out for bid.
Okay.
And Simeon, do you want to explain to everybody what's going to happen with the collaboration with TCC and block companies, the fair that's going to be coming up? Do you want to let everyone know about that?
Absolutely. Excited to share that on May 20th at the TCC South Campus, we will be hosting Tarrant County Community College and Block Companies, which is another partner on this project, will be hosting a job fair. It's going to be 40 vendors that is from a variety of different businesses. I know there's going to be 25 subcontractors that will be working directly on this project. They will be hiring for construction roles, but then also administrative roles as well. But then you also have other organizations such as FedEx and Amazon, and I know Goodwill Industries and several other partners that will be there with jobs. So our goal is to have 500 plus individuals to come out. We have it's going to be a fun day. We're going to have live music. It's going to be a lot of great giveaways, and we're just really looking for participation. So if you are in the market for looking for a job, or you're interested in transitioning careers, this will be a great day to come out, meet local businesses, and start building those relationships. As you heard everyone share around capacity building, if you are an entrepreneur and you're looking to expand your business, this may be an opportunity to connect with subcontractors to learn how they got to their point. And maybe you could have some type of joint venture opportunity, or maybe you could become a ignite your career in some capacity. So please come out this next Thursday, which is May 20th. We are going to be at the TCC South Campus, and we're looking for you to come and join us and find your next job.
I had one other question. AJ, earlier you were mentioning the like 30% and the different goals. Are those percentages tied to who's awarded the work or to like the amount of bids received? What's that percentage tied to?
It's tied to the value of the contract.
But as far as like who's getting the work, it's who's actually receiving the work that's contributing towards that 30%, right? It's in other words, it's
Right.
it's
So contractors that are awarded the work, the subcontracts will be required to meet a certain hiring quota. So let's just say if they hire,
okay.
they have to hire 10 new people, let's just say, or they bring on a staff of 10 people, then to meet the hiring quota, then 3 of those new hires would have to come from within the Caval footprint or be Section 3 residents, basically. They don't necessarily have to be Caval residents, but they would have to be Section 3 certified residents. And
Got
so that's kind of the way that that one works. The other one is just a dollar for dollar on the value of the contract. So just say, for instance, if just use an architect had $1 million contract, and then that architect would be required to, let 25% of that contract to a minority subcontractor.
So is it an actual requirement, or is it like a good faith effort kind of thing?
I would defer to Ms. Barnette on that. There is, like I said, so DLB will be required to actually do the tracking. And I believe there are fines built into the contract. So if a company owner does not meet the Section 3 goals, then I do believe that there are potential repercussions that the owner can take.
Got it.
Am I saying that right, Ms. Barnette?
Well, everything is a good faith effort, and there are some requirements, yes. So we certainly, go beyond the good faith effort to ensure that we meet the participation goals for Section 3. And like I said, we've exceeded those goals, and that's built into every solicitation, what the requirements are, what the expectations are, what the regulation is.
Okay. And you're saying there are potential requirements if a company is not meeting that percentage, the goals, I forget how it's worded.
The regulation is actually getting, like AJ said, it's getting ready to change July. I'll have to go back and revisit that, but it used to be based off of a good faith and there were no fines associated with it. The regulation is changing significantly from what it was. So we can certainly provide you with that information. I don't want to misquote something and then have it out there in the atmosphere and I'd be wrong. So let me go back and just confirm that.
Sure. Yeah.
In reading the soundness of approach, it does say that our president of the Fort Worth Housing Solutions, she has the ultimate power to terminate that particular contract if they continue not to abide by, meet those targeted goals that we have for.
Right, but there's no monetary penalization.
Correct.
For not meeting those goals. And I think that was your question. So people aren't penalized financially for not meeting those goals. The goals are in fact a good faith effort. There could be other consequences for not meeting it, but financially, there are no fines associated with people not meeting that.
Yeah, I think the only financial is just not giving you any more work.
Okay. No, that's helpful. Thank you. So I don't want to jump around too much, but right as I was transitioning to the construction side, someone put in the comments on the right to return issue, just to tie this up. When we talk about the residents having the option, the phone call to come back, that's a funded thing, right? Like they get funding to come back.
So we've made a commitment. We provided them with a relocation allowance initially when they left the property, and we have prepared a budget. So for those individuals who want to come back to the property, we would provide them with some relocation assistance back to the properties.
Okay. Great. So we just have, I don't want to keep everyone too long. I really want to value approaching, near an hour, just a couple more questions. One is just, do you have any reflections so far on the process? Have there been any, I mean, obviously COVID would be an unexpected challenge or setback, but so you can weigh in on that, but have there been any other unexpected challenges or setbacks, disappointments, just with these happenings, the Caval happenings that you think are helpful context for people to know about? And for that matter, maybe any key successes or breakthroughs that you weren't foreseeing?
Is that a Robin roundtable, and do you want me to start?
Sure.
COVID obviously had a significant impact on I think everybody's life, and how we did things. For us, a lot of our pre-work was already done. Our residents were already being relocated, before the pandemic hit. And so, I thought that our process and what we did as a housing authority for our residents was in the best interest of the residents. And I think that they can tell you that. And prior to the pandemic, we were able to get in all these community meetings and be, very inclusive in the process and get a lot of input. So in hindsight, I don't think that as an agency, we would have done anything very differently as it relates to processing the demolition application for Caval, the relocation of our residents, and then our decision to move forward with applying for the choice neighborhood, and then the subsequent award. I mean, I think that whole process worked very well. And I think that we involved so many people in that process and got so much feedback and input that I wouldn't have changed that process in how we did it. And that's specifically for the relocation, demolition of our properties, and in making the decision to, commit to applying for the Choice Neighborhood Grant, and all the things that have happened since then.
Yeah, I would share from an urban strategy standpoint. So, as Sonya alluded to, all the residents were relocated when our local team started here. So really understanding our families, having that intimate relationship with those residents was an initial challenge, because our services are not necessarily required. They're strongly suggested and recommended, but they are not required. So residents can deny our services, which we haven't had many to do that. However, just that initial connection and cultivating relationships with the residents was a challenge, because they were throughout Tarrant County. So we've had opportunity to do home visits. We visited jobs. We visited, schools. I mean, we've connected with our families in whatever capacity we could to meet them where they were, with the boundaries of COVID, right? So we still are in a pandemic, and we had to respect that space and people comfort level of meeting us in person. So I wouldn't say we underestimated that, but I think that was one of the learnings that we've had coming out of this was, okay, really customizing each and every individual experience and making sure that we just kind of meet with them where they are. So I think 8 months in this process, we have made great progress with just that initial phase of connecting. So now we're looking at really just building deeper quality relationship with our residents, and then really understanding the value that we provide to enhance their quality of life. So just continue to learn our families, and they learn us, and they see the value that we bring. So we're thinking outside of the box. We have a event coming up on May 22nd, where we're inviting our families out to the zoo. We have already 134 residents that have RSVP'd, and that number could potentially increase. We also, this weekend, was scheduled to take our families out to a camp. We had 57 residents that agreed to come out to a camp experience, and they were going to go out to Granbury and have a great experience, an outdoor camp. But look like the weather is changing. But then we also have these opportunities, like I mentioned, coming up on May 20th. We also have another opportunity on May 18th. We're partnering with Fort Worth Housing Solutions and the Envision Center, where we're doing a clothing drive to prepare our families for this opportunity on May 20th. So we're just really meeting them where they are, learning them as they continue to tell their story. We want to elevate it to the community and let them know that we're here to support them.
So my perspective, I miss my families. I miss being able to walk through Caval, in the alley, the top, the bottom, walking my children to school when the bus was late. I miss that human interaction. However, on the grand scheme of things, when we had the opportunity to offer those relocation vouchers, and now our families have the choice or the right to go anywhere, then they took that opportunity, right? And so I talked to so many, and of course you do have some that don't have a great experience, and we understand that. But you talk to so many that they are enjoying their new place that they called home, where they're able to go to a sit down restaurant. They're able to go to a local, grocery store. And so also being able to talk to them to say, yep, I'm ready to come back home. And so, but I also look at the opportunities, the job opportunities for individuals, right? And again, we'll get into greater things, but to be able to go to the park and just have casual conversations with the gentleman, with the men, with our former Caval residents to say, hey, are you looking to do XYZ? Do you want a job? And so being able to say, hey, come on, let's, blah, 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 whatever they decided, whatever was at that particular time, it was, being part of the demo. And when that particular part was over, or the abatement and demo part was over, when I still get phone calls and text messages from individuals in the community said, hey, I'm looking for some work. When are y'all, what's going on? What's next? Being able to, communicate with individuals in the community, as well as our residents, to say, hey, come and be a part of this opportunity is definitely a plus on my end. And so again, we have 6 phases, and so we have a long time with each other, and so we'll make mistakes, we'll learn from those mistakes, and we'll move forward collectively.
No doubt. Salute to my sister. I just want to say I'm so thankful to Miss Demetria Bivens for selecting me to be a part of her team. And just really for allowing me to grow in this process. For me, it's just been a learning process. I grew up in the construction industry, but a lot of times, this is such a multi-phase, you know, dealing with $1 million developers, multi-million-dollar housing solution. So I'm just blessed to be here. But at the same time, I'm still me. So I advocate every day for the small businesses and for just the coordination. Just reflecting, the biggest thing really is just missing Mr. Don Babers. I haven't really been able to grieve for that, and just really knowing that he can't be replaced. The value and the experience and what he brought, it's like I never be able to speak up and be him. You know what I'm saying? So, but just trying to have the professionalism that he taught me, and being able to communicate with my peers in these different meetings, and just get them to understand like that, not only am I on this team because of my skill, but I'm actually a resident of this area, and that so sometimes I think people, they forget that because they look at me like, oh, well, I'm hired to do a job now. And that's true, I am. But at the end of the day, this is my home, and we're trying to make a change for the better, not only for the residents of the housing authority, but for all of the residents of the Stop Six community. And so just trying to, wear that hat for the housing authority, the way that they're asking me to wear it has been a growth process for me. But I'm thankful for this challenge and for the opportunity. And I just think that together as a team, we can continue to enhance every organization that's a part of the CNI. And together, not only will we have a better Stop Six, we'll have a better city of Fort Worth.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Well, I have one more question, Derek, before we wrap up.
Yeah, go for it.
North Texas houses, one of the big things about it, make sure to get out why or your ask from audience. And one thing we're proud of our community frontline audience, because they have expressed and shown a desire to want to be involved with the community and just needing a direction, them to be pointed to an action. So for each of you on this call, if you were to have one ask from people on this call and audience of what we can do to support you in your, what would it be?
I'll let the ladies go first.
I'll say, make sure, as we promote the community updates, like, let's kind of do the same thing on our social media, encourage people to jump in on those community updates that are always, they're on Zoom. We give a lot of information, and we don't try to do an overload. So we'll talk about Cowan, the demo, and then, about Hughes House, and then also jumping on that stop6cni.org website. If you're interested beyond construction, we have photography, we have so many other opportunities. Get on the website, and see what opportunities that you or family member or your circle of influence is, if you guys are interested in. And if you have questions, you can always email us, stop6cni@fwhs.org, or you can email me directly, and we'll make sure you get in contact with who you need to be in contact with. We want everybody to be involved, everybody to be in the know. We this is what we're here for. And I think collectively, as we all have mentioned, we are stronger together and we can do this together. So whether, 50% of the families want to come back, it's for the greater part of Fort Worth or Stop Six. This is available to the families and individuals that we serve throughout the city. So spread the word about the community updates and what's going on. So.
I would say continue to educate, uplift, and encourage. And I can't emphasize enough that capacity building is critical to this process for all that are involved. And so that would be my ask: educate, uplift, encourage, and collectively let's work together on capacity building.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of those awesome ladies. I would say be aware of the facts. I mean, there's a lot of information out here about the project and just being aware, but then also taking advantage of the opportunities. This is a 6-year project. However, it's one that we need people to be involved right now. So take advantage of those and continue to just support the work that we're doing.
I would say tell people about Section 3. For Section 3 businesses as well as Section 3 residents, we have an opportunity portal that residents can go in, create a profile, and as we start getting the Section 3 contractors hired for the project, they'll be able to go in there and upload the jobs that they have available. But I think it doesn't just stop there. Like Lachelle said, Section 3 is bigger than just Calvin and Caval. Fort Worth Housing Solutions is the housing authority for basically the greater Tarrant County area. So they will be ongoingly looking to develop and build projects, as capacity provides them. So I don't think they're going to stop looking at other projects just because they're doing the Caval transformation. So there'll potentially be other, maintenance contracts available or other contracts available. So get out there with Section 3, but also become a vendor with the Fort Worth Housing Solutions and other organizations.
Cool. Do you have anything else, RJ?
No, hey, thank you all for your participation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Wednesday is not the most convenient. In just a couple of announcements, in 2 weeks for our next forum, we'll be celebrating Tatiana Jefferson. So tune in that. And then this Saturday from 10 to 1, we're going to be assisting Miss Iris with her community garden. She lives off Dillard, or so the garden at least is over there off Dillard, across from kind of near Maud Logan Elementary. So if you're interested in helping with that, you can do that. And then just kind of check our social media for any other updates going on, as well as check out I was told direct message that I broke up on the next forum, so I'll repeat it. The next forum is going to be celebrating Tatiana Jefferson and the Tatiana Jefferson Project. So tune in for that. We have the community garden this Saturday at 10 o'clock off Dillard, across from Maud Logan. If you want to help with that. Otherwise, just check our social media, check Fort Worth Housing Solutions stuff to their social media, as well as the Choice Neighborhood website to see what's going on there. Follow Be Leveraged and DLB Consultants and Urban Strategies Inc. as well, and see where you have opportunities to support and serve. So unless anybody else has, go ahead.
I do. Fort Worth Housing Solutions. So any Fort Worth resident, you do not have to be on housing. If you have experienced a reduction of household income or other financial hardship due to COVID-19, please go to www.fwhs.org, Fort Worth Housing Solutions website. Click at the very top and submit your application and start the process in regards to emergency rental assistance. Anyone that was impacted by COVID-19, please go, please.
Please.
Got it.
Please.
I would like to have
And that's not just rental assistance, that's utility assistance too. Please, 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 if you know anybody, spread the word. We have lots and lots of money. We want to make sure it goes to the people it needs to go to.
Absolutely. Starting March, so next week is going to be an action-packed week here on the South Side. So May 18th, we're hosting a clothes drive, or we're gathering clothes right now to address workforce success job clothing drive. I apologize. Workforce Success Clothing Drive on May 18th at the Envision Center. May 19th at the William L. McDonald YMCA, there will be the African American Health Expo. They will be having a vaccination and a free food drive. And then May 20th, I got my dates everywhere, y'all. May 20th at TCC South Campus, there will be an amazing job fair with over 40 vendors there. If you're looking to transition jobs, or you're looking to enter the workforce, this will be a great opportunity to come learn about jobs that's throughout Tarrant County and take advantage of those opportunities. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, hearing nothing further, we'll go ahead and adjourn. So you guys take care. Thanks again for visiting with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Be safe. Bye-bye.